starting Dust2 round on the terrorist side, you can throw Xbox smoke from T-spawn at the start of the round by getting stuck to this corner wall and aiming at the window frame left side. For 128 aim in the middle of the frame, but for 64 aim at the top of the frame and jump through the smoke. You can smoke a long corner from T-spawn by getting stuck to this wall line and aiming at this dark stone left side and jump throwing the smoke on both 64 and 128 servers. To flash the enemy who is watching long, you can do that while running to the long doors and throwing the flashbang to this wooden line and aiming a little higher. To throw a pop flash for the enemy at the long corner so he couldn't react to the flashbang, you have to get stuck to this corner in the long doors and aim above the line of a parallelogram and a little above it as shown in the video and just throw the flashbang. To smoke city from long so enemies can snipe you while you're crossing, or you don't want to waste your smokes to cross A side. If so, you have to get stuck in the middle of this wall with axes and aiming at the sky between the building line and the height of the shadow for high graphics like you should be using from the beginning, even if it's killing your frame rates, and just throw the smoke. If you want to cover a side cross old-fashioned way while running to the long, aim at this white satellite antenna and throw the smoke, and for the second smoke aim at this wall left side at the height of a small roof and also throwing the smoke while running. The smoke is faster to do than city smoke, so it depends on them to use it. You can make one way for an enemy who is watching the top middle from outside doors by getting stuck to this barrel and aiming at the bottom right corner and by holding left and right mouse button and releasing it at the same time, when you can look safely to the middle without getting killed, or at least kill him first before he kills you. To check outside middle doors, you might need this pop flash while coming out of door. Get stuck to Xbox and aim between this line here and throw the flash. To throw city smoke while going to B side through outside middle doors, get stuck to Xbox and aim in the middle of this triangle and throw the smoke. When you need to support your team when they are moving to the short or too long, you might want to clean up some enemies from city spawn. You can do that by getting stuck to this under tunnel wall and aiming at this line here, throwing the smoke and the flash, then checking out outside doors. If you are rotating from lower tunnels to short, you can throw the smoke to the doors so that enemy couldn't see you jumping on the Xbox. Also, to jump on this clip, you first have to duck then jump. For more detail, check out my other video, and while I have your attention, check out my Patreon page for behind the scenes on videos I'm making. And now, getting back to the video. Another way to throw city smoke is from short, that way you can support your teammates going through long. By getting stuck to this garage corner and aiming at this building corner and just throwing the smoke. This is my favorite flash to throw when coming to A side from short. Is by finding a vertical line on this ramp. For height guidance, aim at this first horizontal line and just run through the flashbang. To smoke A side while running to it, get stuck to the short corner while aiming at this building corner and just run through the smoke. To have a safer run moving to A side from short, you can throw the smoke by getting stuck to the corner while aiming under the space and aiming at this line and just throwing the smoke. This will make a good cover from the enemy on A side and get an easy kill. You can also throw a similar smoke to get a one-way under the smoke to look for an enemy on city ramp, and also get boosted to get a view by getting stuck in the middle of this door and aiming at this black spot above the window and just throwing the smoke. While the short is smoked, you can Molotove Goose in case someone played here before. For a lineup, aim at this electrical pole and run through the Molotove. You can throw a smoke grenade to the B side to make cover while coming out of B side tunnels. To do so, you have to get stuck to this pillar and aim at this dark spot and just throw the smoke. When the enemy smokes upper tunnels, you can actually jump on top of your teammate to check for the enemies who are out of position and maybe getting killed. When you're coming out of the tunnels, you can throw this flashbang that won't flash the teammates but will flash the enemies. To do so, you have to throw a flashbang at this window while running to it and the enemies will get flashed. Moving to city side and coming back to long, you can throw this flash to get the first pick against the enemy. While running to the long, you have to aim at this pole top right side and just throw the flashbang. You can also throw a grenade combination while trying to protect long, throw a smoke while aiming at the pole and closer to the ground, and the high explosive grenade or incendiary by strafing it to the left side. This way you will get control of the pit and can slow down the enemy and throw a flashbang to the pole when they want to get closer to you. On A side, you can throw the smoke near this ramp and jump on top of a sack of barrels while playing around the smoke. Enemies will have a hard time seeing you even with the scoped weapons. Coming to A side and short, with a little teamwork, you can get a pop flash from your teammate when hiding behind the short wall and appearing out of thin air. Your teammate has to be in A side and throw a flashbang to the short so enemies couldn't react to it. When the enemies get used to it, you can smoke the short to come out of the smoke to kill them as well. A self-pop flash version that also works while hiding behind the wall. You have to be aiming at this air conditioner and throwing the flashbang and picking out when the gun is loaded or after the flashbang is popped. You can throw a flashbang to the middle short to help the teammate kill the enemy, is by getting stuck to these baskets and aiming at this gap between buildings. And with the same lineup, you can also throw high explosive grenades or the incendiary. If you're at the short and watching the long and we coming closer to A side, the smoke is useful because it will give you cover and one way to the A side. Just throw the smoke in between these baskets and play around them. When the round starts, the teammates can drop grenades to be picked up near city spawn under the short later. When the enemies rush the short and you're under it, you can do quite a lot of damage to them by picking up grenades left for you. When the enemy is rushing short and you want to get to A side as fast as possible, you can throw a flashbang to this wall that will give you cover when looking at short while the flash is popping behind your back. If you like to play around Goose, here's a flash you can throw without flashing yourself when peeking out by throwing it at this wall right here. You can Molotove short from outside doors without exposing yourself by aiming at this wall and jump throwing it. Also, it could work with high explosive grenades if the enemy is jumping on Xbox. When you smoke middle doors or the enemy smokes it, you can with your teammates' help get boosted to watch the middle short. Enemies might not even anticipate it since it requires help from a teammate in this weird position. Enemies who are getting closer to the middle doors and you backing down to B side, you can take cover behind the wall with one way by throwing the smoke to this wall and aiming at the top of this brick and playing around. You can delay the enemy and might kill them. When you have to retake the B side and have a smoke with you, you can throw a smoke at the door, bouncing off just enough for a small window of opportunities to play around with cover from the smoke. You can throw this one-way smoke by getting stuck to this box line here and throwing it at the third step and looking behind the smoke to the tunnels without enemies seeing you. And that's it, make sure to check out my Patreon or my other videos and I hope to see you soon in the next video.